I think it's an interesting process in that, we might be able to do that versus what we're presently doing. But we'd have to find a student who has the need, who has the ability. We also have a very active Central Methodist alumni, Earl Bates, who was a year ahead of me at Rittner, who would probably be willing to even put some money into something like that ourselves. We could, Ian, after we talked, I was thinking about how we would provide the tax deduction. We could actually give the money to Central directly and get the tax deduction versus going through the Pride and Promise Foundation or something like that. So that ability there. But I think there's an interesting thing in that they can provide that for a student who's outstanding and who would not be able to afford it otherwise. But this is another thought.
Okay. And I told her that I might not, I told the new person at Rittner that I might not be able to notify her by December 1st, but I would notify her as soon as I could. And she seemed to be okay with that. And so what we could do maybe is wait till our club assembly, which is the first week in December, and talk about it as a club then. And I could notify her right after that. Basically the question I need to get to her is, are we going to do, or with the COVID situation and everything, we could put it off for a year and rejoin again next year. I don't want to take any more of the speaker's time to discuss it now, but I just wanted to present it to the club.
Well, we have, for what it's worth, we have our board meeting on the 1st and club assembly is on the 2nd. So It's not that, literally bracketing that time frame, so it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
And
Yes.
here's a process. What if we could probably have a Zoom call with Roger with our scholarship committee and have one more explanation of it before that time. So you let me know if you want to do that. I will be back in the city next week. We'll be back on Friday.
Okay. Good idea. Thanks, Dave.
All righty. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to do a brief introduction to Debbie and let her and her cohorts take it from there. I have nothing else better to do. I say that sarcastically. So I'm on Facebook more than I usually am or was. And I'm part of a group, Maryland Heights community. And Debbie posted this. I'm going to read exactly what she posted because it's a better introduction than I could ever do. She said, "Hello, I'm a board member with the Bennett Project, a local nonprofit that supports families in the St. Louis area who are battling pediatric cancer. In addition to direct financial support to families and a number of other programs, we conduct a toy and gift card drive twice per year for the kids being treated at Mercy Hospital, Cardinal Glennon, and St. Louis Children's Hospital. We are looking for local businesses who might be willing to help us with fundraising for the gift card collection. We are looking for locations where we could place a collection box for customers to leave money or do a roundup program or any other creative ideas that would work for your business. If you're interested, please let us know." And then I reached out to her and said that, we're a fellow nonprofit, so to speak, and would you be able to share your story? And that's where we are right now. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie. I will mute everybody else and we'll go from there. Debbie, thank you.
Good. Thanks, David. I really appreciate the time to come speak this morning and the introduction. So I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully someone will confirm you can see it, and I'll tell you more about the Bennett Project. So as David said, my name is Debbie. I am St. Louis born and bred. Grew up in Chesterfield with my parents, went to school here at Washington University and Fontbonne University. Got my first job out of college at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, which has now been almost 20 years, and I'm still there. My personal background is in the finance and accounting area. I'm a CPA by training, and a few years ago made a career change, and now I work in human resources at the Federal Reserve Bank. I do a lot of volunteer work at my house of worship. I teach in the religious school. I serve on our finance committee. I sing in our choir, so I keep pretty busy. And now I work with the Bennett Project. So I'm going to share my screen and tell you a little bit about our story and then the Bennett Project story and what we do. So can someone confirm, David, can you confirm you can see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the Bennett Project. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit that provides support to families with children, to children and their families with pediatric cancer. So a little bit about my story. So this is my nephew, Drew. This was last summer. Drew was 6 years old at the time, and this was our annual shopping trip to get school supplies. So I'm single. I live with my fur baby who is laying on the floor underneath me and might bark at any moment because I hear the trash truck coming. But my sister lives in Creve Coeur, and she has 2 boys, Drew and Tyler. And this was last summer when Drew was 6. On his half birthday, which we all know is very important for kids around that age, Drew woke up with a headache. And for the next 8 days, his headaches as he woke up in the morning became increasingly intense. My sister took him to the doctor, and my sister struggles with migraines, and we thought maybe he was just following in her unfortunate footsteps. So the doctor said, let's give it a few days, it'll subside. And 8 days later, she took him to Mercy Hospital because his headaches were so intense for about the first 10 to 15 minutes after he woke up that he couldn't stop screaming. And so they took him there to check him out and see what was going on. And around 12 o'clock at noon, we got the devastating news that Drew was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Within an hour, he was taken by ambulance to St. Louis Children's Hospital. And over the course of the next week, he had 25 hours of surgery. And we were lucky that he had a total resection of the tumor by the end of the week. So he had a surgery on Sunday, a surgery on Monday, and then another one on Friday. It was the most shocking news for our family, as you can imagine. We had no idea that anything was wrong. Drew was a really healthy, energetic 6-year-old who loved school and loved his new baby brother and loved his family. And this was just really out of the blue for us. I can't say enough good things about the people at St. Louis Children's Hospital and how they supported our family through this really difficult time. I can't imagine for families today who are separated at the hospital, who can only have one parent with their child as they're going through this really terrible time. My sister moved into the hospital and lived there for 3 weeks. My brother-in-law and I both took off work and spent as much time there as we could. I was there from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. during visiting hours, and I worked a little from the hospital. You can see from the pictures, after the first surgery, Drew was pretty much non-responsive for a couple of days, which we were prepped to expect. And you can kind of see his recovery from there. And I'm happy to report that we are now a little over 1 year out, and Drew is a healthy, happy 7.5-year-old. We do go every 3 months. He's due again in December for scans to make sure that he stays healthy. But at this point, his lasting effects are mostly psychological. He struggles a lot with anxiety, as anyone would who's been through something like this. But he's back in school in a hybrid model. He's in the Parkway School District, but he's learning and he is making friends again at his new school. And we're really couldn't be more blessed with how our situation has turned out. We still have a long time to go to be out of the woods, but for now, we are grateful for every minute that that things are going well for Drew and the rest of our family. So as we got towards Drew had 3 major surgeries and then a course of radiation. And as his radiation was wrapping up, I really felt the need to get more involved to help families who had been through what my family had been through and was going through. And so I found the Bennett Project. The Bennett Project was founded by Emily Dial, who I think is still on the call, in memory of her brother Bennett, who passed away in 2003. In 2002, Bennett was diagnosed with colon cancer at the age of 9 years old, which is, as you probably know, typically a grown-up's cancer. It's very rare for a child to have colon cancer. And then about a year later was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor and unfortunately passed away. So Emily founded this organization in memory of her brother. And we do a whole variety of things to help folks who are battling pediatric cancer and in the 3 major hospitals in St. Louis that serve our families. So Cardinal Glennon, Mercy Cardinal Kids Cancer, and St. Louis Children's Hospital. Our organization is only about a year old officially. We got our official 501c3 last September, actually right around the time of Drew's diagnosis. And at that time, we were really just serving 2 hospitals, but we've grown enough that we now can serve St. Louis Children's as well. We work with the social workers directly in all 3 hospitals to identify families that we can connect with and help and provide support throughout their journey. So I want to highlight some of the programs that we do. So our first program, and probably our signature program, is our Family Direct Financial Assistance Program. So each month we are able to select 2 or 3 families, just kind of depending on what our finances look like, because we are a small but mighty not-for-profit. And we pay a bill for them directly. So whether it's a utility bill, part of their rent, we've had people who've had, a car payment, anything like that, usually in the $200 range, that just maybe takes a little bit of the pressure off for that month. One of the things that we learned as we were going through the process with Drew was that we were very lucky. My brother-in-law works at Boeing and has very good insurance, but not all families are as lucky as we were. And about 50% of families to have to declare bankruptcy within the first year of their child's cancer diagnosis in order to pay their medical bills. And so while $200 maybe doesn't seem like a whole lot, it really can take the pressure off somebody who's falling behind because they have this other unexpected expense coming up. In addition to the medical expenses, for many of the families who are treated here in St. Louis, they're traveling here from around the region. So they have potentially extra food bills, they have hotel or lodging expenses that they wouldn't have. Those things are not covered by insurance. And most of our families have siblings where their parents are having to figure out alternative care arrangements that may not have been in place before. So there is additional financial pressures on families that we try to alleviate. We also do quarterly family events. So last year, our first event was a pumpkin party where we brought kids together to paint pumpkins and celebrate Halloween. Of course, come early this year, we all know that the world changed, and getting together in person. The last event we did together in person was at Kokomo Joe's, which is like a laser tag trampoline kind of place in South County. We got some families together for that in February, and then after that, we realized that it was not really safe to get our families together. It's not really safe for a lot of people to get together, but especially so many of our families have children who are immunocompromised, and getting together and getting just the common cold could be really dangerous for them. So we pivoted earlier in the year. We did National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. We sent all our families gift certificates to Baskin Robbins. And then we pivoted our pumpkin event, and we're able to give bags. Our families picked them up socially distanced from Emily and my house. We had a whole bag, you can see, of goodies, decorations, paint, and then every family got a pumpkin for every child in their family. And you can see the smiles on the faces of the kids as they got to decorate that. We've got some more things in store for later this year that we're real excited about. One of the new programs we rolled out this year was our birthday club. So one of the things that is really important to us, especially with Emily being a sibling of a cancer warrior, is that the siblings often get forgotten. Not intentionally, but obviously when you have a child who's sick, the attention goes to the child who's sick. And a lot of the programs, especially 10 or 15 years ago, were really set up to support that child and their family. And the siblings were often kind of a little bit left to fend for their own in terms of support from community organizations. And so we started a birthday club that for the cancer kid and all of their siblings, they get a gift card in the mail the month of their birthday to celebrate their birthday. Especially since it's our first year doing it, it's been a surprise for people. They're like, oh, look at this, we got this thing. You can see again, big smiles. So this kid over here is Vinny. I'll read this in case you can't see it on the screen. It says, someone was super happy getting the mail today. Thank you, Emily, with the Bennett Project for making these super siblings feel special. A lot of people don't realize how hard it can be for a sibling of a child diagnosed with cancer. They have many mixed emotion and deserve to be recognized. Thank you for always helping put a smile on my sweet Vinny's face. So we always love hearing from our families and that there's an impact to them, for all the work we're doing on the back end. We do appreciate that. We are now averaging 7 to 8 gifts a month through our birthday club program. We have we have 42 or 43 families registered with over 100 children in the program right now. So very exciting for us. And then that brings us to our toy and gift card drive. So last year we had 11 collection sites in our toy and gift card drive. We donated just shy of 1,000 toys and something like 150 gift cards to, last year it was Mercy and Cardinal Glennon hospitals for kids. We fill their closets. They're able to give toys out to the kids who are inpatient, but also those who might be there just for treatment and are going home. We serve ages kids 0 to 22. So a lot of times the teenagers are harder to buy for or get forgotten. So a lot of times the gift cards are kind of what fills the gap there for us. This year we were really excited. We pounded the pavement big time, and we have 36 collection sites around the St. Louis area, as far as Peabody, Missouri, and in the city and all over. But of course, as you all know, last week, the Safer at Home order was issued from St. Louis County, and a lot of our boxes are in restaurants. So we know we're going to be taking a hit there with people not being able to get in. Of course, we want those businesses to survive more than anything. So we're pivoting to do some different things to try to build the gap for us. One of the things we also are doing this year that's a little different is we are doing, we wanted to do an in-person shop for our registered families to come in and pick out gifts for their children, and then the rest of the toys would go to the hospitals. Obviously, it's not safe for us to do that in person, so we are, our families are currently registering to participate and giving us what their children's current interests are, and then we'll be their personal shoppers, and we'll do another socially distant pickup for them to take home toys to hopefully make the holiday season at their homes a little brighter. And then, of course, we'll bring the rest of the toys and gift cards over to the 3 hospitals that we serve. We also do a little bit of support in the local hospitals themselves. So especially this year, I'm sure you've seen on the news, or if you have a medical professional in your life, they are running on MC. And so whatever we can do to help make the hospital workers' lives a little better, we try, and of course serve the families that happen to be there on the day as well. So about once a quarter, we send lunch to the different hospitals. We bring snacks. We brought some of our pumpkin kits there so that some of the kids who were inpatient at the hospital could participate in our program as well. So that's a part we've rolled out this year. And then we just do some general family support. So unfortunately, some of our cancer warriors do lose their battles. And so for those families who are in our program, we create a memory blanket that we give to their family so that they have something to kind of wrap themselves in when they need that moment. This year with the pandemic, we went on we were on the hunt. We were looking for Clorox wipes and Lysol and toilet paper and all those things that were so hard to find. I can't tell you how many times at like 2 a.m. I was on Costco's site and I was like, yes, I got wipes. I'm so excited, right? And so we were able to distribute a lot of those things to our families who really need them, especially given that their children are fighting. And so we were really excited to be able to kind of pivot and do some of those things. We sometimes have a family who might get some exceptionally bad news in a particular day. We maybe send them dinner that night. So just kind of some ad hoc things for the families that we're supporting. So some of the challenges that we've faced as a very new not-for-profit, obviously fundraising is a challenge for any not-for-profit, but in a year like this, it's especially difficult. We had planned for our first major fundraiser to be in May. We then rescheduled it to September, and then obviously became reality that was getting a lot of people together in person was not going to happen for us. We pivoted and did a couple of online trivia nights. We had collected a lot of items for our in-person event, so we did an online silent auction. We participated in Give a Day St. Louis. We're looking at participating in Giving Tuesday, and we do Facebook fundraisers. Really just all the things that you can think of that a small not-for-profit would be doing. We also have challenges, like any other not-for-profit, in finding volunteers. Our primary means of communication is through social media. And we do get people occasionally who say they want to help, and we can give them a job to do here or there, but we're small and growing. So finding volunteers who are committed to the cause is always important and also difficult. And then really just connecting with families. So we have, as I mentioned, we've partnered with the social workers at the local hospitals, and that has been hugely helpful in getting us connected to families individually. But we're always looking for more families who might need our services. And then because I am here in front of another not-for-profit who asked me to come talk about, I'm of course going to say, how can you help? So this is our QR code. If that's something that you use, you take a picture and it'll take you to all of our sites. But what do we need? We need help with people spreading the word, liking our Facebook page, telling people that we're out here. Our name has gotten out there pretty significantly in the past year. But we always want more people to know about us, either from a financial support perspective or so that we can support more families. We're always looking for help in the financial and fundraising space, looking for businesses to partner with who might want to do a fundraiser together. We've done like those restaurant fundraisers, those kinds of things. And then just connections to those who might help take our cause further. I then threw up here just kind of where you can find us on the web. So we have a website, thebennettproject.org. We do a lot of our social media on Facebook, although we do have Instagram and those kinds of things, but Facebook is really our primary. And then of course our link for our PayPal. We take donations through PayPal or Facebook or check or however people want to reach. People ask me all the time, how do I give you a donation? I'm like, which way do you want to try? I'm happy to make it easy to take your money. So that's what I really had prepared to talk about for today. I would love to take any questions that you might have about what we do, how we help, any ideas you have about how we can continue to further our services to the St. Louis community. We are really proud of the work we have done, but we know there's so much more to do. As more, we say that cancer doesn't stop for COVID. We have families getting diagnosed every day who still need help and support.
Make sure I'm unmuted. Thank you for that. And yes, like you said, it's hard. This is hard to fundraise. It's hard to fundraise, period, much less this time frame. I have a personal question to ask. You're at the Federal Reserve, correct?
I am.
Do you know a gentleman by the name of Jim Albanesius?
I sure do.
When you see him or talk to him or Zoom with him, tell him Dave said hi.
I will.
I've known Jim since we were young teenagers and would go on the same place on vacation every year. I could tell you stories that you could hold over him and get a better raise if you'd like. I'm just throwing that one out there as a little incentive down the road. But
Jim retired about a year ago.
Yep.
From the bank. Yeah.
He's had a ball. I don't know if he ever comes in and talks to y'all or anything, but yeah, his grandkids are his life at this point. So
yeah.
So if anybody has any questions or comments, I'm gonna see if we can stop your screen share here. There we go. And anybody who has comments, we're going to have, I would like you to unmute yourself and because you are muted. Any comments or questions? I don't think anybody's awake yet.
It is early.
It is. It's the having, and I can give a personal spin to this. My sister woke up as an adult. She was 24, I believe it was at the time. Couldn't hear out of one ear, or couldn't hear out of one ear, couldn't see out of one eye. Obviously, you panic right away. Turned out she had a tumor wrapped around a nerve at the base of her skull. They did do surgery. It was successful. She has not gotten the hearing back. It's back about 30%. It will never come back. They flew her up to, it wasn't the Mayo, but it was someone close to there, to do a nerve graft because she had the one side of her face just drooped. All the nerves were shot. And they said the nerve was 1/10 the size of a human hair.
Wow.
And they're cutting it out of the leg and grafting it into the face. How you find it to start with is beyond me. But, what medical can do is I won't say how old, but she's getting close to 60. So it's been a few years. Yeah, the sight sight's pretty well come back. The hearing never will. The droop is still there. She has now a lazy eye on that side. But it's amazing as an adult to go through that. I can only imagine what the kids and the parents feel like. That cannot be easy for anybody.
Debbie, can I ask about how many families a year do you serve?
So we have 42 families in our registered program. Those are the families who we have paid bills for or participate in our programming. But then there are hundreds of kids, unfortunately, at the hospitals that we serve through our programs there. We don't really have like we don't get a list of who the kids are, but we just kind of, through talking with the social workers, know. So right now we are doing financial assistance for 3 families a month, as well as all of our families are eligible for the different kinds of events and the birthday club and those kinds of things. We've grown. I mean, a year ago, that number was more like 10 or 15.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any
Hey,
relation?
program. Very good program, but very sad.
Yes. We do like to celebrate
Debbie,
the successes of our kids as well.
Right.
Sorry, Debbie. I got a question. Are there other organizations that that are also working with the cancer kids that I don't know if there's maybe some duplication or something similar scope but also different that you guys work with? I know of Camp Kesem. I don't know if you're familiar with Camp Kesem. That works with siblings of kids whose families are affected by cancer. Just curious if there's other, I would assume there's a lot of other organizations that are out there that you guys work with probably.
Yeah, so there are a number of other organizations that support pediatric cancer families. We all kind of have our own spin. So if you've heard of Camp Rainbow is a 1 week in-person summer camp. This year was virtual, but normally in person. I actually had done a lot of work in fundraising for Camp Rainbow about 10 or 15 years ago when my sister and I were youth group advisors, and that was our fundraising project. So it was a little bit weird full circle that this organization that we raised tens of thousands of dollars for then was service to our family. But that's their very specific focus. There are other organizations that are kind of similar to Make-A-Wish, but on a smaller scale, who do like a Joy Day to do something special for the family. Friends of Kids with Cancer is one of the larger organizations in St. Louis that does some similar things to us, but also some very different things. From all we know, we are the only organization providing direct financial support to families. That it kind of is our unique space in the St. Louis pediatric cancer world.
Jack, I thought you were going to say something.
No, Brian actually asked the question that I had in mind.
Okay. Anyone else? Again, thank you, Debbie. I'm obviously, like I messaged you, I make no promises on what our club can do to help, but we will definitely bring it up at the board meeting, and on the newsletter that I send out, I'll put in, the information you're looking for volunteers and so on, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time. We're all about getting our name out there right now. The more people who know we exist, the more kids we can help. And I really, really appreciate the time this morning that you gave me to kind of share a little bit about what we do. So
thank you
very much.
Keep up the good work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. We will. All right, I'm going to drop off because I have a conference call at 8. So it's
Sounds
not really
good.
too early for me, but I need to switch on to work. So,
Not a problem. Thank you.
all right. Thank
Take
you
care.
so much. Nice to meet you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
So any other any other comments or anything for the good of the club?
I have one. Can you hear
Okay.
me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You're good.
I got a new pair of headphones because I was trying to figure out how the microphone worked. I don't think it was quite working yet. If we go online and do the district donation that you guys were talking about, does the club still get credit for that in our foundation challenge?
Yes, is far, it will all go, you're talking about doing an online donation.
Yes.
It will match up to what was donated in the club's name. I mean, not the club's name, but because you're a member of the club, it will then go on to the club report.
Okay, so we will get credit for it in per capita giving.
Correct.
All right.
Yep, because if online, I mean, I'm on Rotary Direct, which means every month they just pull it out of the account. And you put your club name down, or club number down, your number, club name, et cetera. And so the reports then transfer right over. There's not an issue with that.
Otherwise,
So something Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, otherwise, Bob, do we just mail you the check if we don't do it that way?
Bob, you're muted.
Oh,
It can also go to Linda Poobauer's PO Box too,
okay.
which I'd be glad to share. And also just, Jerry, since you're saving so much money on your cable bill now, you might want to consider joining the Paul Harris Society. I think it's about $85 a month. And that will make you a Paul Harris Society member. I'm getting a little older and things are paid off now a lot more. So it's something to consider.
Okay.
On a different note, I just COVID related. I spent about 2 hours filling out an application to register as an immunization site for COVID, and it's going to be interesting on how that works. They're going to the vaccine's going to be free to everybody, including when they send it to the pharmacy. They're not charging the pharmacy. They ship it in a container because it's got to be kept so cold that we have to add dry ice to it in 5 days, and then it's good for. We have to dispense all of it in 15 days, and I think they send us like 700 doses, and it's just going to be interesting on how this logistics of this whole thing works. They're only allowing one wholesaler in the country to distribute it, and it's not the wholesaler we use, but our wholesaler has to work with them to make sure that we get it. So it's going to be interesting on how this is all going to play out. And of course, those were the rules as of last night, and I'm sure they'll change between now and then.
So what's the time frame, Brian?
I think they're still looking. They're guessing, but I think they want to do the healthcare workers first, so they're going to send it to the hospital. So I talked to a friend of mine's over all the SSM hospital system pharmacies, and they're making arrangements for storage on it, and so it's going to go to the hospitals for healthcare workers, and then I guess CVS and Walgreens got the contract to do all the skilled nursing facilities, so it'll go there next, and then so I'm guessing April is when the general public will start getting it. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the rate is higher than they expected, so that's very good news.
And for what it's worth, Brian, that April mark is about what Mary has been able to piece together, working in pharmaceuticals, of what they know also. It's, you see people posting the vaccine will be out in December. No, they are gearing up to make it. They already have made some. As long as they make it under the same conditions that it was made prior to approval, they can pre-make, they can, have stock ready. But as you said, to distribute it like this, the general public, late first quarter, early second quarter of 21 is probably what they're aiming at. So what you've heard and what you've seen, kind of, Mary's heard and seen roughly the same stuff. And we have a program next week. Ann has arranged it. It is going to be an update from Overland, basically the mayor and the city administrator, Jason, and I'm not even, Makamachi? I don't know. Anyway, Jason. It'll be Mayor Mike and Jason. That'll be next week. We have club assembly the week after that. And then I know I'll have to find a program for Doc Katzev's slot, and then Todd's coming up after that. So, and of course, Todd's not on the line now, after I mentioned it. I'll send him a note. So if anybody has anything, if you got a program that you got, just send it to me, even if it's not your slot, because there are going to be some that just can't fill it. So just, we'll figure it out. We'll make it all work. Nothing else. I'll go ahead and end the meeting. You all have a great week, and we'll see y'all later. Have a
You
great
too.
Thanksgiving and a
everybody.
safe one.
Stay
Thanks, Dave.
safe, guys.
Thanksgiving.